Give us the context of what this makes advertisers feel like.
Yeah, well, obviously there are a lot of advertisers who would be very, reluctant to see their brand show up anywhere near this interview, right? But I also think that a lot of advertisers who are uncomfortable with that are probably no longer on X. I think a lot of the people who are still spending money on X have pretty thick skin when it comes to what they expect or imagine that their marketing is going to appear next to, right? And so I'm not sure that we're necessarily going to see a new wave of people rushing in the other direction, mostly because a lot of those people are already gone.
And this speaks, of course, to the ultimate aim that we've always been told from Elon Musk about X is for freedom of speech in all its entireties. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about how ultimately the deals with the likes of Tucker Carlson are getting on very people who attract a big crowd to come and ultimately have shows on the platform.
Yeah, I was really interested in this about a month ago, right after CES, when X announced that they were going to be doing, these new shows. Don Lemon, of course, was another one who they were going to bring on. And, I spoke to 4 media agencies, after the announcement was made, and all of them basically said the same thing, that these shows aren't really going to move the needle. Now, if you're a big brand looking to spend money on X, it might be nice to have sort of something that at least is professionally produced that you can, run your video ad next to. But until X gets, a much larger collection of these types of shows with much more and less controversial hosts, quite frankly, I'm not sure that this is the kind of thing that's going to draw advertisers back. And again, I don't think they're running the other way because those folks are already gone. But I don't think this is necessarily big enough that it's going to, lure people back who have been reluctant to spend money on X to begin with.
There's a lot happening in the social media space in real time. Kurt, you reported that Jack Dorsey's Blue Sky, the decentralized social media platform, is now opened up to everyone. Why is that significant?
Well, Blue Sky, as you both probably know, has emerged as sort of one of the main alternatives to X ever since Elon Musk took over. And, there's a bunch of technical reasons that people are excited about it. This decentralized element is idealistic, I think. But for the most part, this is simply a place where people who used to love Twitter, but no longer feel, comfortable using X have been going. And so the fact that they're sort of opening this up to everybody, perhaps that will kind of expedite the growth of Blue Sky. But, again, we're looking at Threads, we're looking at Blue Sky. You might even remember Mastodon. These were, essentially X alternatives. And so it's just always interesting to keep tabs on what they're doing and whether or not they're still growing and capturing people who are running away from X.
Your book on X is imminent, or your book on Twitter. Yes. I mean, I sympathize with you. So much has changed in real time. We were teasing Jason Schreier the other day about how he had to rewrite the last draft of his book based on what happened with Blizzard. But something you just said, Blue Sky is the alternative to X. Where do you think X sits in the landscape right now? Meta, Facebook, Snap, Instagram Reels, things like that.
Sure. I still feel like it's a good place to go for certain types of news, right? I'm a big sports fan. I still think that X is probably the best place to go when you want to figure out, hey, what's going on with my favorite team? What's going on in the NFL playoffs? But there's a bunch of other categories of news that I think that X used to sort of be the go-to place for, where it's no longer that, or it's certainly not as reliable as it used to be. And I think there's a bunch of reasons for that. The most notable probably being the change in verification, right? And sort of eliminating this ability to quickly identify who legitimate journalists are versus folks who might, not be doing that professionally. And to me, I think that's hurt the company when it comes to news. But obviously, Elon would disagree. And for that reason, I feel like X has sort of fallen out of the position that it had over news, over, Instagram, Facebook, and others a few years ago.